The Zorvax collective had seen a lot in their millennia of galactic observation, but nothing prepared them for the humans. It started when a rickety ship, patched together with metal and hope, screeched onto their landing grid. We watched, 6 eyes each, as these soft-bodied creatures stumbled out. No exoskeletons, no telepathic hum, just 2 flimsy eyes and a mess of tangled hair. I'm Crix9, lead scientist of the collective, and I logged it immediately. These things were a biological disaster. No claws, no venom, just squishy flesh that leaked water when the sun hit it. How did they even survive their own planet, let alone space? Our scans pegged them as carbon-based oxygen breathers, but the details baffled us. They ate everything: plants, animals, some synthetic sludge they called snacks. One of them bit into a red fruit, juice dripping down its face, and grinned like it wasn't a total mess. We Zorvax consume nutrient vapor, precise and efficient. These humans, chaos incarnate. And the noises, grunts, shouts, something they called laughter, a guttural burst that rattled our sensors. I calculated their survival odds against a basic meteor shower, 0.3%. Yet here they were, strutting onto our sterile soil like they owned it. Their ship was worse. Our engineers analyzed the hull crude alloys, patched leaks, no quantum shielding. It shouldn't have made it past their star, but it did, limping through hyperspace on what they later bragged was duct tape and prayers. Prayers? We don't even have a word for that. I logged my hypothesis. They're too stupid to know they should be dead. But stupidity doesn't explain the boldness. One of them, a female with a tangle of brown strands, waved at us, waved, like we weren't a species that could vaporize their entire crew with a thought. The council demanded answers. Were they a threat? A fluke? We'd cracked the genome of 1,000 species, predicted their every move, but humans broke every model. Their biology was a slapdash mess. A spine that barely held them upright, lungs that choked on dust, skin that tore if you looked at it wrong. Yet they kept moving, kept talking, kept leaking that salty water they called sweat. I couldn't compute it. No natural armor, no psionic link, just raw, reckless existence. So we invited them in. A diplomatic study, we called it, but really we wanted to pick them apart. Figure out why they didn't collapse under their own flaws. The humans agreed, grinning like they knew something we didn't. I logged my final note of the day. These creatures are a paradox, a walking glitch in the universe's code. Tomorrow we'd test them, expose their limits. They'd fail fast, I was sure. What could a species this broken possibly do? The humans stood in our test dome, 5 of them still grinning like this was a game. I'm Crix9, and I designed the trials to break them, expose the fragility we'd scanned in their laughable frames. First, we cranked the heat to a level that'd melt a Zorvax drone. Their soft skin glistened, water pouring out, a disgusting flood. I logged it. They're dissolving already. But then they stripped off outer layers, wiped their faces, and kept standing. Captain Elena Ruiz, the brown-haired one, muttered something about saunas and smirked. Our sensors showed their cores cooling despite the inferno. Sweating, it turns out, isn't a flaw, it's a trick. Next, we thinned the air, mimicking a vacuum's edge. Zorvax need triple the oxygen humans do. They'd suffocate in minutes, I predicted. Wrong again. They gasped, chests heaving, but held on. One male braced his hands on his knees, sucking in ragged breaths, then straightened up and nodded at Elena. She barked orders, and they synced their breathing, slow, deliberate. Our data spiked. They'd stretched their lungs' capacity, defying the math. I scribbled in my log, inefficient organs, yet impossibly stubborn. Then came the predator test. We loosed a simulated crawl beast, claws like blades, 3 times their size. They had no weapons, no armor, just their flimsy bodies. I expected panic, collapse. Instead, Elena shouted, and they scattered, not fleeing but circling. One threw a rock, another kicked dust into its eyes. The beast roared, blinded, and they darted up a tree, climbed it, with those weak little hands gripping bark like it was nothing. The crawl swiped and missed, They dropped branches on its head until it staggered off. I stared, six eyes unblinking. They'd turned a chase into a win. The final insult? One human gashed his arm on a branch, blood oozing red. I logged the fatality. Open wounds mean infection. End of story. But he pulled a strip from his pack, slapped it on, and flexed the arm like it was fine. Elena clapped his shoulder, and they laughed, that grating sound again. Our medics analyzed it later. The strip sealed the cut, stopped the bleeding. They call it a bandage, a patch for their brokenness. I rewrote my notes. These creatures don't just survive damage, they shrug it off. By the end, the dome was a mess, scorch marks, dust clouds, a dazed crawl beast. The humans weren't. They stood there, panting, smeared with dirt and sweat, but alive. Elena caught my stare and winked. I logged my conclusion. Their biology doesn't make sense. It's weak, chaotic, yet it bends every rule. They weren't failing, they were mocking the tests. The council would demand more proof. Fine. Tomorrow we'd push harder. They couldn't keep this up. Could they? The council wasn't satisfied. I'm Crix 9, and I'd underestimated these humans long enough. Their tricks, sweating, climbing, patching wounds were oddities, not proof. So we upped the stakes, a combat trial. We unleashed a biowar beast, gene-crafted for war, 8 feet of muscle and fangs, armored hide no Zorvak's blade could pierce. The humans got no tools, just their frail hands. I logged the obvious. They're meat now. Elena Ruiz and her crew didn't flinch. They spread out, eyes sharp, like they'd seen worse. The beast charged, a blur of death. One human flung dirt in its face. Cheap, but it worked. The thing snarled, half blind. Another grabbed a jagged rock and smashed its knee, cracking bone where our tech couldn't. Elena yelled, and they moved like a pack, luring it toward a ravine. She tripped, rolled, and sprang up, baiting it closer. It lunged. They dodged, and it crashed into the ditch, pinned by its own bulk. They'd beaten it with nothing but grit and a plan. I dug into the data mid-fight. Their pulses spiked. Adrenaline, a chemical flood that juiced their strength, dulled their pain. The injured one from yesterday, his cut was scabbing already, flesh knitting itself shut. Regeneration, slow but real. We Zorvaks repair with machines. They just heal. I flashed back to their history, pieced from their ship's logs. They'd outlasted ice storms that froze oceans, wars that leveled cities, deserts that swallowed weaker species. Their biology wasn't a glitch, it was a weapon. The beast thrashed, and Elena climbed its back, jamming a rock into its eye. It bucked. She held on, thighs clamped like steel. Another human stomped its tail, pinning it. They didn't stop, didn't tire, fueled by some feral drive we couldn't scan. Emotions, messy and loud, turned them into a storm. The beast went limp, and they stepped back, breathing hard, blood and dirt streaking their skin. Elena wiped her brow and grinned at us, teeth bared like a predator's. My log trembled as I wrote. Humans aren't fragile, they're relentless. Pain makes them stronger, wounds make them fight harder. That chaos we mocked is their edge. The council convened, voices buzzing in my skull. Are they a threat? One asked. They're a disaster, I replied. But not ours yet. We'd invited them to study their limits. Now we feared they had none. Their ship's logs echoed in my mind. A species that thrived on Earth's worst, laughing through it all. This wasn't survival, it was conquest coded into their blood. The trial ended, dust settling around a broken beast. The humans stood tall, battered but unbowed. I stared, six eyes wide. What the hell was this biology? Not weak, not broken, terrifying. The trials were over and the humans still stood. I'm Crix 9 and I'd run out of theories. The council faced facts. We'd misjudged them. Their biology, sweat-soaked, scar-ridden, chaotic, wasn't a flaw. It was a force. We offered a truce, a seat at the galactic table. Elena Ruiz, dirt still smudged on her face, leaned forward in the talks. Alliance sounds good, she said, voice steady. But we don't kneel. The room went silent. A Zorvak's elder twitched. We don't negotiate with prey. Except they weren't prey anymore. She laid out terms: trade, tech swaps, mutual defense. Bold, considering their ship was half junk. I caught her eye and asked, "How do you trust your bodies to hold up out here?" She laughed, that grating sound again. "They don't always. That's why we've got coffee." Coffee? I logged it. Another mystery, probably toxic. Her crew chuckled. A bond we couldn't scan tightening between them. They'd faced our worst and turned it into a joke. We signed the deal, 6 hands to their 2, our respect carved in the ink. Their ship powered up, engines coughing but defiant. I watched from the grid, replaying it all. Heat they endured, beasts they felled, wounds they ignored. Humans didn't fit our galaxy's rules, they rewrote them. Their history unspooled in my mind. A planet of fire and flood, yet they built cities, launched ships, sang songs about it. Other species bent to nature, humans bent it back. I logged my final entry. The collective must prepare, not for war but for them. They'd spread, unstoppable, a wildfire in the void. Elena waved as they lifted off. A gesture we'd learned meant nothing and everything. The ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving echoes of their noise, laughter, shouts, life. I stood alone, 6 eyes tracing the stars. The galaxy wasn't ready. It was too clean, too cold for this mess of a species. They'd stumble in, break things, fix them with that sticky tape, and somehow win. Their biology was a paradox. Fragile enough to bleed, fierce enough to rule. I sealed the log with a thought that haunted me. They thrived on the edge of collapse, turned weakness into power. Sweat cooled them, scars taught them, chaos drove them. We'd called them broken. They'd proved us wrong. The universe would bend to that reckless spark, that beautiful, impossible design. I whispered to the empty grid, a phrase they'd left behind, stuck in my circuits like a virus. What the hell is wrong with human biology? Nothing. It's just too damn right. Out there, beyond our sterile reach, they'd carve their place. Messy, loud, and free. And we'd watch, awed, as the stars learned their name.